Hello, my name's Rachel and I work for Step 2 Young People's Health. This video is to give you a little bit of information about what it means to be an asexual or ace person. You may have heard some of these terms before, they may be completely new to you. What I'm going to attempt to do is to explain them a little bit. However, most of the information for this video has come from the Stonewall website. Stonewall have an excellent A to Z glossary on their site. It's really detailed. It includes terms that I'd never heard before I went on there. So there's lots of information and it's a good solid place to get your information from. So here we go. Asexual. So that's a person who does not experience sexual attraction. They might feel some romantic attraction, and we'll come to that, but others won't. So they don't look at a person and think, wow, that person is really sexy. They just don't experience that. Ace is an umbrella term. So a bit like homosexual covers gay and lesbian, ace is that kind of term. So it's used specifically to describe a lack of, varying, or occasional experiences of sexual attraction. So in this case, it kind of covers asexual and a few other bits and pieces as well. An aromantic person is somebody who doesn't experience romantic attraction. So they might still be sexually attracted to a person. They might look at somebody and think, wow, they're hot. Okay, but the other people do not. It's really important to know in this that everybody's different, okay? And while we say you shouldn't label people, actually these labels are extremely helpful for some people because it helps them identify who they are. So it's a person who doesn't experience romantic attraction. Somebody who describes themselves as aro, again, that's another umbrella term which covers the lack of or different experiences of romantic attraction. So aromantic would be covered by aro or aro. Some people might describe themselves as grey or grey A. Another umbrella term describes people who experience attraction occasionally, rarely, or only under certain conditions. Somebody who's demisexual or demi-romantic might only feel sexually or romantically attracted to a person with whom they've formed an emotional bond. So they might not immediately look at somebody and think, wow, I really like them. It might be somebody that they've needed to build a friendship or relationship with first, before they start to experience that. I know this is really confusing. I totally get it. Okay, but these are just some of the terms, and they're terms that you might not hear people use, but it's just useful to be aware of them in case you do. Just to be aware that there are people other than heterosexual, gay and lesbian and bisexual. Okay, there are other types of people out there as well. So it's common for asexual people to have romantic attraction to others. They might identify as heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual or panromantic. Okay, so just because they don't particularly want to have sex doesn't mean they can't fancy someone. Okay, and it might be somebody of the same gender or somebody of a different gender. Other people are aromantic, so they don't feel that romantic attraction. Asexual people can also identify as cisgender. So I'm going to use the example of a woman. You were born as a woman, you still feel like a woman, you identify as a woman. Okay, so that is cisgender. They might also identify as non-binary, transgender, or any other gender. Okay, so you can be multiple things, which is why it gets confusing for people. Okay, and that's absolutely fine. It's about communication. Okay, so if you're confused as to how somebody identifies, you could ask them nicely. They don't have to tell you, but you could ask them nicely. There can be lots of myths and misconceptions around this, and I think that's because it does get a little bit confusing for people. And I think if you're not having those experiences, then you don't necessarily need to go looking for the information about it. So I think people kind of fill in the gaps, or they hear things that aren't 100% right, or they only hear certain perspectives instead of having a kind of full picture of things. Being asexual does not mean celibacy. So celibacy is where you've chosen to not have sex ever. Okay? People who practice celibacy abstain, but that's not because they're not sexually attracted to others. Some people abstain for religious reasons, personal beliefs. Okay? Asexuality isn't a choice, it's an orientation. So people who are celibate have chosen to be that way. People who are asexual haven't. You don't become asexual. It's not about being rejected sexually and suddenly you've decided that's it, you're no longer sexually attracted to people. Some people realise that they're asexual after having had sexual experiences. You know, I didn't really enjoy that. I don't really ever want to do that again. Okay, but some people do know it from an early age that they're just not interested in that. It's not a mental disorder. You don't become that way because you've been sexually abused. It's an orientation. You are just that way. You have been made that way. Okay, that is nobody's fault. There's no kind of blame or shame or anything like that. That is just who you are as an individual. So some asexual people will have sex in relationships, and that's for various reasons. They might actually want to have children. They might not enjoy the sex part, but they're still consenting because they still want to have kids. Or they might do it to please a partner. Now that is a very specific choice to them. Okay, that's not rape, it's not abuse or anything like that, because they're still consenting to it, and they're doing that because they want to please their partner. That is not compulsory. Okay, your partner will be with you for who you are, not because you are giving them sex. Each person has to be treated as an individual. Okay, you can see the different pin badges at the bottom there, just like all the different pride flags. It's not easy to say that somebody fits into a box. Everybody has to be treated individually for what they do or don't want to do in their lives. Some people will not talk about their asexuality. They won't sort of express it to others. They just don't enjoy sex, but they're still potentially doing it because they want to please their partner. Their partner might be aware they're asexual, their partner might not be aware at all. Okay, and again, that's a deeply personal choice. That's entirely up to them, and because everybody's different, okay, not everybody's going to have the same kind of reactions to it. So there's some information here about support services. So like I said, I got most of this information from the Stonewall website. Stonewall is the best place to go for definitions, for understanding about different groups of people, different sexualities, different orientations. You've got in the middle there step 2, young people's health, so that's where I work. So we are a sexual health and mental health charity. You can see all of our socials there on our website. If you need any advice or guidance, you can drop us a message on our social medias. We take referrals for counselling on our website. That can come from young people over the age of 13 and from family and things like that if they want to refer you in. Okay. Trevor Project is a support service specifically for LGBTQ people. And they've worked with a lot of young people who've been on the verge of suicide as a result of their orientation, their gender, any gender dysphoria, that kind of thing. But you don't have to be on the edge of suicide to access their support. You can look them up on the website, really helpful website, lots of information there. James and Hale work with Step 2, and together as a partnership we deliver relationships and sex education across the Bradford district. Hale are a local healthy living charity. They have lots of different projects going on and lots of different work around engaging with young people and helping young people to be healthier. So again, look people up, all got websites, all got social medias. See what you can find if you need further information.